Good morning, all of you. So in the last class, when we were discussing about net acceleration, during the discussion of net acceleration, due to some technical problem, some part was missed in the last class. So I will explain that, and I will continue that class today. So in that net acceleration means, in the last class we discussed that for the circle there will be, when the body is in circular motion, there may be two components of accelerations may be there. So one component is this centripetal acceleration, and is compulsory this component will be there. That means this component of acceleration will be always non-zero. And then next, this tangential component will be there, so which may be present or may not be present. So when the speed of the particle is varying, then this tangential acceleration will be there. So those are the two perpendicular components of this particle, acceleration of the particle in circular motion, and therefore this net acceleration we can write this as those two are perpendicular, we can write this as AC square plus AT square. So that will be the net acceleration in circular motion. And we discussed about the angle made by the net acceleration with this velocity. So this angle we consider this as a theta, and we discussed the different possibilities there. So different possibilities means when this so one of the possibility is if AT is equal to 0. So if AT is equal to 0, then the possibility is the net acceleration is nothing but only centripetal acceleration. Like centripetal acceleration will be there, and so then this velocity will be there along this direction. And so now this centripetal acceleration is nothing but our net acceleration here. Therefore this net acceleration is nothing but centripetal acceleration only. And angle between net acceleration and centripetal acceleration, that theta value will be 90 degrees you will get. In that case, when the body is having only centripetal acceleration. And then whereas if some positive net acceleration is there here, that means if AT is parallel to that of parallel to V bar, if these two vectors are parallel to each other, that means AT and V are parallel to each other. So like this, AT and tangential acceleration and velocity are parallel to each other. In that case, the speed of the particle goes on increasing here. Speed of the particle goes on increasing, and so that in that case this acceleration will be there like this, net acceleration, and so then this angle you will get less than 90 degrees you will get. So that means 90 degrees is possible, less than 90 degrees is possible, but 0 is not possible. So those are the possibilities. Next here, the another possible case is if minus A bar AT bar is parallel to that of V bar. Minus AT bar means then both are opposite vectors. So like this, if you are taking here, so velocity will be along this direction, and suppose if tangential acceleration is along this direction here, so that they are opposite vectors. Sorry, anti-parallel to each other. They are opposite in direction. Then the net acceleration will be along this direction here. So the net acceleration will lies in between these two. And so now our theta is nothing but this is our theta here. Angle between velocity and net acceleration. So now in that case, the theta value will be greater than 90 degrees you will get. Greater than pi by 2. And so now those are the possible angles here. So 0 is not possible, and similarly 180 degrees is also not possible. If you are getting this 180 degrees means then again AC value should be equal to 0. In circular motion, AC never be 0. The centripetal acceleration never be 0. And so that the angle between the centripetal acceleration, net acceleration and velocity will lies in between, you can conclude that it lies in between 0 and pi. But it is not equal to 0 degrees, or it is not equal to that 180 degrees there. It lies in between that 0 and pi. Those are the possible angle between velocity and the net acceleration. Right? And then next we discussed about the types of there will be two types of circular motions will be there. One we called uniform circular motion, and other is non-uniform circular motion. So first let us write this uniform circular motion. So generally we discussed about uniform motion in kinematics. So in kinematics, the motion of the object is said to be uniform when V bar is a constant value, right? So that means when velocity of the object is constant, so then we call that object is said to be in uniform motion. And now similarly here in circular motion, if omega bar is constant, then you can call that as uniform circular motion here. Uniform motion is different and uniform circular motion is different. In uniform circular motion, velocity is not constant. You know, in circular motion, velocity is changing from point to point, but angular velocity will remain constant here. So that means the circular motion in which the angular velocity will remain constant is called uniform circular motion. This angular velocity remains constant means we can mention that the speed of the particle will remain same here. The speed of the particle will be a constant value. So that means in uniform circular motion means we can mention that the circular motion in which the speed of the particle will be a constant value or angular velocity is a constant value. So then this is said to be, then such a circular motion is said to be uniform circular motion. Just mention the definition. The circular motion in which, or in the circular motion, if angular velocity or speed of the particle remains constant, angular velocity or speed of the particle remains constant, then it is said to be uniform circular motion. It is said to be uniform circular motion. So when the body is in uniform circular motion, can you say the quantities which remains constant in that uniform circular motion? That means we are saying that omega and omega or that speed will remain same. That is one thing what we can mention here. So omega is constant. That means now I am writing the physical quantities which remains constant here. So omega is constant, and from that we can say that speed is constant. Speed, or you can say that it has magnitude of velocity. Magnitude of velocity remains constant. So in addition to these quantities, can you say any other quantities which remains constant in circular motion, uniform circular motion? So if these two are constant, then we say it as a uniform circular motion. Now I am asking, in addition to these quantities, which other physical quantities will remain constant in uniform circular motion? Can you say is velocity is constant? So velocity is never be constant in circular motion. In any type of circular motion, velocity is changing from point to point because the direction of that velocity goes on changing. So velocity is not constant. Then what about the centripetal acceleration? You know, centripetal acceleration will be there like this. And we discussed the formula for the centripetal acceleration also, r omega square, or you can write it as v square by r. So is that centripetal acceleration is constant? So centripetal acceleration is also variable. Why? Because acceleration is also a vector quantity. So the direction of acceleration is changing. When the particle is here, centripetal acceleration will be there like this. If the particle reaches this topmost point, then centripetal acceleration will be there like this. If the particle is here, then acceleration will be there like this. So at different points, you will get the centripetal acceleration is in different directions there. And so the centripetal acceleration is also variable, but we can conclude that magnitude of centripetal acceleration remains constant, because that magnitude of centripetal acceleration is nothing but, we can write this as r omega square or v square by r. So as omega or v is constant, and so that we can write the centripetal acceleration magnitude remains constant. And so again I can mention here as magnitude of centripetal acceleration. So magnitude of centripetal acceleration is constant. And next, suppose if I ask about this momentum, is the momentum is constant or variable? You know, momentum is nothing but, we can mention it as p, it is a vector quantity, so p bar into v bar. And so now clearly that velocity of the particle is variable, and so momentum is also variable. And again here if I consider about the magnitude of the momentum, then magnitude of the momentum remains constant here. So that means now again the magnitude of momentum is constant. And then next here if I ask about angular momentum, you know already the definition of angular momentum. Now suppose if I ask angular momentum about this center. So the angular momentum of the particle about the center if I ask. So the angular momentum, you know, m into v bar cross r bar, you can write here, sorry, r bar cross v bar. So now it's in this case, now we can write this as suppose if you are taking particle is at this end here, then r bar is along this direction and v bar is along this direction. So we can mention that cross product as this is a r bar direction and v bar direction. For that position I am drawing here. So because while applying this cross product rule, we should join the two vectors such that the initial point is coinciding with each other. Then we should apply our cross product rule. So then r bar cross v bar. So r bar cross v bar will be out of the plane. So that means this angular momentum is also a axial vector, and that axial vector will be along axis of rotation here. So it is along axis of rotation means wherever the particle is, now we can observe that this r bar cross v bar will be out of the plane only you will get. So for this position I explained here. Now for example, if I consider this opposite position here, when the particle is reaching this position, then r bar direction will be there like this and velocity direction will be there like this in downward direction. Now again verify this r bar cross v bar direction. So now r bar cross v bar means while applying cross product, you need to arrange the vectors like this. Their initial point is coinciding with each other. Now again apply this r bar cross v bar direction. So r bar cross means first we need to place four fingers like this. R bar cross v bar will be out of the plane. So the direction of this angular momentum for any position you will get out of the plane only. So that means we can conclude that this angular momentum vector will remains constant. So angular momentum, simply now we can conclude that angular momentum will remains constant because r is already a constant magnitude and v is already a constant magnitude. The magnitude of r and v are constant, and so now r bar cross v bar value will also be remains constant, and because the angle between these two also remains constant, so we can conclude that vector remains constant. So just to mention that this total explanation is not required, directly we mention that angular momentum of the particle about its center remains constant. Angular momentum of the particle about its center remains constant. And the next thing is if I mention about kinetic energy, is the kinetic energy of the particle is constant or variable? So we know the kinetic energy formula. So kinetic energy is half mv square. So where m is mass of the particle and v is the speed of the particle. So we can conclude that this kinetic energy of the particle will remains constant, right? So these are the quantities which remains constant in case of this uniform circular motion. So that means in omega, speed or magnitude of velocity, magnitude of acceleration, magnitude of momentum, and the angular momentum vector, this is vector, magnitude as well as direction also remains constant, and then kinetic energy, which is a scalar quantity. So these quantities will remain constant. And in uniform circular motion, you can also mention about this net acceleration here. So write that point also. And before that, let us mention the quantities which are variable here. So we discussed only the quantities which remains constant. So mention about the variable quantities. So in uniform circular motion, following quantities are variable. Following quantities are variable. So can you say which quantities are variable? So one we mentioned already here, velocity. So velocity is variable. So first mention that. So velocity is variable. Velocity vector. Velocity means velocity is variable. And the other thing is centripetal acceleration, or simply you can call it as acceleration of the particle, because the net acceleration is nothing but our centripetal acceleration only. Centripetal acceleration, or which we can write this as simply AC, acceleration of the particle. So those two quantities are variable here, because those are vector and the direction is changing, and so those two, and we can mention this momentum also, linear momentum vector also we can mention here. Momentum P bar, linear momentum or momentum. So those are the quantities which are varying when the particle is in uniform circular motion. And next let us write about the net acceleration in uniform circular motion. The net acceleration. So I can mention this, in uniform circular motion automatically implies that area value is 0, because we are saying that speed is constant. So tangential acceleration is defined as rate of change of speed only, and so that this uniform acceleration, uniform circular motion means AT value is 0. So that means mention that in uniform circular motion AT is equal to 0. Tangential acceleration is 0. So tangential acceleration is 0 means we can write this as Therefore, net acceleration is equal to AC. Centripetal acceleration itself will be the net acceleration. And then angle between net acceleration and velocity is nothing but you will get this 90 degrees here. These two are perpendicular to each other, and so then the angle between them will be 90 degrees. The angle between net acceleration and velocity is 90 degrees. So those are the points you need to remember regarding this uniform circular motion. And now let us consider about this non-uniform circular motion here. So non-uniform circular motion. Non-uniform circular motion means, as we discussed here, omega is constant, then we are saying it as uniform. So if omega bar is variable, or we can say that speed of the particle is variable. If the speed of the particle may increase or decrease, speed is nothing but the magnitude of velocity. If whether it is increasing or decreasing, then such a type of circular motion is said to be non-uniform circular motion. So these are variable means, then you can conclude that the particle will possess some alpha value, angular acceleration, and it also possesses the tangential acceleration. That means this point will indicate that alpha is not equal to 0. Alpha means angular acceleration, and this indicates that AT is not equal to 0. That means either they may be positive values or negative values. Their values or they possess some finite values. If this is positive means both are in same direction, so alpha value will increase. Sorry, this omega value will increase. If once omega value is increasing, then automatically speed of the particle also increases, because at any time V is equal to R omega is to be satisfied. So if omega value is increasing, the speed of the particle should also increase. If these two are parallel or in the same direction means, then these two should also be in the same direction there, so that this speed of the particle goes on increasing. So that is in case of non-uniform circular motion. So in case of non-uniform circular motion, speed of the particle goes on increasing or changing. Simply what we can say is it is changing. So this is our centripetal acceleration direction here, and so then it possesses some tangential acceleration also. Just mention that definition there. The circular motion in which angular velocity of the particle or speed of the particle is variable, is called non-uniform circular motion. In non-uniform circular motion, the following quantities are variable. That means in uniform circular motion we already mentioned the constant and variable quantities. So now we are mentioning these variable quantities in non-uniform circular motion. So clearly we can say that this omega or V, that means speed of the particle, these two are variable, and we can say this V bar, that means now velocity is variable, and the next we can say this velocity is variable means automatically this momentum is variable, and the next we can say about acceleration V square by R. So now this value is varying both in magnitude and direction, because the V value goes on changing here, the speed of the particle goes on changing. Our centripetal acceleration is V square by R. So in the previously we mentioned that in uniform circular motion the magnitude remains constant, direction is changing. So in this case both magnitude and direction are changing here for these two vectors here, and velocity also. And next here, can you say about the angular momentum here? So previously we mentioned in uniform circular motion angular momentum remains constant. So here angular momentum vector is also variable, because this we are writing as R bar cross V bar here, right? Or you can write MVR simply, because the angle between them is 90 degrees. So MVR you can write there. And so now here V bar is variable here. The speed of the particle is changing, or the magnitude of velocity is changing. And so then this V value is variable here. And so automatically this angular momentum value also variable. So it is also a variable quantity there. And next you can also mention about the kinetic energy. So kinetic energy is half mv square we are writing here. So now speed of the particle is variable, and so you can mention that kinetic energy is also variable. Like that means all the physical quantities related to this are variable quantities only here, right? And so those are the quantities which are variable in case of non-uniform circular motion. And next we can discuss about net acceleration here. So the net acceleration in this case we can write it as, so net acceleration in non-uniform circular motion. So as both the components are there, so you need to write this as AC square plus AT square. So this is our net acceleration, and where that AC value we can write this as, AC means this AC and AT we defined already, V square by R, and this AT value we need to define this as dV by dt, or we can also use this as R alpha. So either of this, according to the given data, either you can use AT is equal to R alpha formula, or if velocity function is given, the speed function is given, then we can use dV by dt. So with the help of that you can calculate this acceleration. So net acceleration is also a variable quantity here, the acceleration of the particle. So that is non-uniform circular motion. Next, let us come to the dynamics of circular motion. So till now what we discussed is about kinematics of the circular motion only, because we didn't discuss about force acting on the particle here. So now let us come to the dynamics of circular motion. So that means I am introducing about the centripetal force here. Centripetal force. So all of you know, when suppose if Earth is revolving around this sun, suppose let the orbit is circular orbit I am assuming here. Suppose it is sun is here and Earth is revolving in this orbit here. Or you may consider like an example of an electron revolving around this nucleus. If an electron is revolving in this around this nucleus, and so now there is some attractive force will be there between them. So now here this attractive force will be there. So then this attractive force here in this case it will be a gravitational force, and here in this case it will be an electrostatic force here, electrostatic force. Or you may consider like a bob is connected to this string, and so that now this string is revolving in the circular path here. A stone is connected one end of the string and it is revolved in a horizontal circular path, for example. And so now here the tension in the string will provide this, that means now tension in the string will acting towards the center here. That means we can observe that whenever a particle is moving in circular path, so some net force will be there directed towards the center here. And so because we can say that previously we discussed about centripetal acceleration. So centripetal acceleration is nothing but the acceleration which is directed towards the center is called centripetal acceleration. Now according to Newton's law, the acceleration and force are in the same direction, right? So there is some acceleration along this direction, means definitely there will be some force directed towards this. So the force which is directed towards the center of the circular path is nothing but we called centripetal force. The force which is directed towards the center of the circular path. And the most important thing is, this centripetal force is not a new type of force. Already which is acting any one of the force or the components of the resultant force will provide the centripetal force here. So that means if two or more forces are acting here, in this example the only gravitational force will be there that is acting towards the center, right? So now this gravitational force will act as a centripetal force here. Similarly in this example there will be some electrostatic attractive force is there, and so now this electrostatic force will act as a centripetal force. And now in this example, now tension in the string. So the tension in the string is acting on the particle directed towards this. So now this tension in the string will act as a centripetal force here. So that means it is not a new type of force. Already existing force or already force which are acting on the particle will provide the centripetal force, or they behave like a centripetal force here. And in some cases you may get like two or more forces are acting on the particle. When two or more forces are acting on the particle, resultant of those forces, like in the same string example, if you are taking it as a vertical circle, for example, now let us consider this as a vertical circular motion here. if you are taking it as a vertical circular motion, if the particle is at the lowest point, for example, now can you say what are the forces acting on that particle? So weight of the particle is acting downwards now, since we are taking in it vertical plane, and there will be some tension is there in upward direction here. Of course, here the tension in this case, in this position and in this position will be different. So now we are talking about this lowest point here, right? Now two forces are acting there. Two forces are acting on this. Now what I am saying is, when two or more forces are acting, the resultant of those forces will be directed towards the center. So now that force is called centripetal force. So now the resultant of these two forces means the resultant of those two forces must be directed towards the center, which indicates that tension should be greater in magnitude when compared to that of this mg. And so that you can write that force equation here as T minus mg. This is the net force equation here. This net force is nothing but we call the centripetal force. And that centripetal force formula we know, m into AC you can write, right? So now that is the concept what I am saying here. When two or more forces are acting, the resultant of two or more forces you need to take, or sometimes we need to resolve that into components here. Like suppose in the same circular path, vertical circle example, let us take now the bob is here. That particle is in this position. It is making certain angle theta here. Now in this case, mg is there in downward direction, and again some tension will be there along this direction. So I am saying this tension and this tension numerically different. I am just representing that t value there. And so now here mg is not along this radial direction here, right? So now we need to resolve that mg into tension components there. And so now I am resolving this mg into components here. So this angle is theta, so you can take this angle as theta. So this is mg cos theta you will get, and this component is mg sin theta. So now the net force, observe that mg sin theta is along tangential direction. So that will produce now tangential acceleration. And now you can observe that these two are along the radial direction, but they are opposite in direction. So now the resultant of these two will provide the centripetal force. And so for this position, now the centripetal force we can write this as T minus mg cos theta. So T minus mg cos theta, you may take the tensions as different, otherwise you may get the confusion here. So lowest position I am taking as T1 and this I am taking as T2 there. So then T2 minus mg cos theta you may write there. So now that will act as a centripetal force here. So that means when two or more forces are acting, the resultant of those two forces. So if sometimes if it is required like that, we need to resolve the force into components. The radial components we need to find here. The net force acting along the radial direction. So that will provide the centripetal force. And the most important thing is regarding the centripetal force is, you should observe this in any of this diagram. I am not representing the centripetal force in the free body diagram, right? So in the, suppose if you are taking for example this case, I didn't represent this centripetal force in this diagram here. So you should never represent a centripetal force in the diagram. Otherwise you will get the confusion here. Because as I said, it is not an additional force. Already acting forces will behave like a centripetal force, or that will provide the necessary centripetal force here. So because of that reason, you should never represent the centripetal force in the free body diagram. The resultant force we should write that as equal to centripetal force like this. So by mistake, if you are taking already Fc as one force in this equation here. So for example, Fc also if you are representing like this, then you will write generally the equation as Fc minus Fc plus T minus mg is equal to, we write this as net force here. By mistake, if you are representing that Fc, actually Fc is not there. Fc is such a force is not there here. Already the acting forces are only these two forces. The resultant of those two forces will act as a centripetal force. And so because of that reason, you should never represent the centripetal force in the free body diagram, right? So those are the points you need to remember regarding the centripetal force here. And just you may mention this in about the centripetal force definition. When the particle is revolving in circular path, when the particle is revolving in the circular path, there will be some acceleration of the particle called centripetal acceleration. There will be some acceleration of the particle called centripetal acceleration directed towards the center. Directed towards the center. According to Newton's law, according to Newton's law, if acceleration is directed towards the center, if acceleration is directed towards the center, then there should be some force directed towards the center. There should be some force directed towards the center. So the force which is directed towards the center, the net force which is directed towards the center, the net force which is directed towards the center and which is responsible for the circular motion, which is responsible for the circular motion, is called centripetal force, is called centripetal force. So here I am saying that the net force is directed towards the center here. That means here only one force are there, then that can be directly taken as a centripetal force. If two or more forces are there, then that is said to be centripetal force. And here I am saying all this explanation because in circular motion means we discussed already, centripetal acceleration never be zero, right? Once the body is in taking a curve. Centripetal acceleration is never be zero means automatically centripetal force should also be never be zero. It is always a non-zero force. So there must be one force directed towards the center whenever a particle is taking a curve. Even not only a complete circle, even if you are taking just a curve on the road, then there also some force will be required there. So centripetal force is required, and such a curved path also we will discuss later in the banking of angles, right? So whenever a particle is taking a curve, we already discussed that acceleration must be there, centripetal acceleration must be there. And so similarly now centripetal force should also be there. So centripetal, once the body is taking a curve, this centripetal force is a non-zero force will be there. So centripetal force is always non-zero. So next mention about that. I hope all of these examples you know already. So just if you want to mention the diagrams there, that means here the gravitational force will act as a centripetal force, and here electrostatic force will act as a centripetal force, and there the tension will act as a centripetal force. Or if you are taking that as a vertical, then resultant of tension and mg will act as a centripetal force. And so next mention about these points there. Centripetal force is not a new kind of force. Centripetal force is not a new kind of force. Already the force is acting on the particle, the force is acting on the particle, or the resultant component of or the components of resultant force, components of resultant force will provide the necessary centripetal force, will provide the necessary centripetal force. Next mention about this point here. While drawing free body diagram, we should never represent centripetal force in the free body diagram. We should never represent the centripetal force. We should never represent the centripetal force. Right. So that is our centripetal force. Now we can write the formula for the centripetal force here. So now that centripetal force we can write this as Fc is equal to, we can write this as m into c, because we are saying that the centripetal force is arises because of the centripetal acceleration we are saying, or the acceleration and this force are in the same direction we are saying. So again this centripetal force means this force is always directed towards the center here. So the direction of the centripetal force is always directed towards the center. And so now the centripetal force is m into ac we can write, and we already know the formula for the centripetal acceleration. So that is v square by r, or you can also write this as mr omega square in terms of omega if you are writing. So then this is the expression for the centripetal force here. Either mv square by r we can write, or mr omega square we can write. So just we are writing F is equal to ma, and that a is nothing but we already mentioned in the previous classes that centripetal acceleration is v square by r, or r omega square. So that you can write the centripetal acceleration or centripetal force like this, mv square by r, right? So it is the formula for this centripetal force here. And next let us introduce this centrifugal force here. So after that we can discuss some problems based on this. So now it is centrifugal force. So again, this centrifugal force is nothing but simply I can say it as we can discuss it as it is a pseudo force, because we already know about the pseudo forces here, right? And when we need to take the pseudo force and how to take the pseudo force, that means how to take means in which direction we should take the pseudo force and how much magnitude we need to consider for the pseudo force. All these points we already discussed in NLM 1. And so that means now it is nothing but a pseudo force. So pseudo force means we need to assume the pseudo force or we feel the pseudo force when we are solving the problem from or when the observer is in non-inertial frame. And inertial and non-inertial frames we already discussed there. And there we mentioned that all rotating frames are non-inertial frames. All rotating frames are which are nothing but accelerating frame of references. So here we will get the rotating frames here. So all rotating frames are non-inertial frames. So in case of all rotating frames, we need to take, if your observer is on the rotating frames or accelerating frames, then we need to take this pseudo force here. And so that pseudo force is nothing but opposite to the acceleration of this object here. Like suppose if you consider like an object is placed here, a small object is placed here and it is revolving in a circular path, that means this total, let us consider this platform is rotating here with angular velocity omega. Let it be a horizontal platform. On the horizontal platform we are placing an object there. And so now the object is also, we are assuming that there is no slipping between the platform and this object, right? And so now the object also will appears to be revolving in circular path for an observer on the ground. Now for the observer on the ground, if I write the forces here, then forces acting on this or frictional force will be there here. So let us say it is at a distance of small r from the center. Now frictional force will be there. So for the observer on the ground, so the equation what we can write is friction will be there and that friction will provide the centripetal force here, right? And so that friction is equal to, this is frictional force here. So friction F is equal to our centripetal force. So this will provide our centripetal force. And therefore this friction is equal to what we can write as centripetal force means mr omega square you can write. So right, that is the equation for an observer on the ground. Now if you are considering that an observer is standing on the platform here, suppose say an observer is standing here, the observer is also revolving there. Then with respect to that observer, the block appears at rest, because always the distance of the block from him will remain same, because the person is also revolving along with that platform without any relative slipping. Then with respect to that platform if you write, then the person feels that the block is at rest. So block is at rest means then one force is acting already along this direction here. We know this friction is a real force. A real force means the real forces will be present whether you are solving the problem from non-inertial frame or inertial frame. Always those real forces will be there. That means according to this person also this force will be there. Frictional force will be there. And then but the block is at rest. Block is at rest means then for him there should be some opposite force should be there to balance that friction. So that opposite force is nothing but now we call this centrifugal force here. So that means actually this is pseudo force here. So this is pseudo force. That pseudo force is nothing but now we call that as centrifugal force. So that means now the centrifugal force, as the direction of this acceleration is, always directed towards the center, then you can say that this pseudo force will be directed away from the center. Then generally I hope all of you know that the direction of the centrifugal force generally we take it as outward direction, radially outwards, right? So that is because the acceleration of this particle is directed towards the center. And so now the pseudo force, we know the acceleration, the pseudo force must be opposite to the acceleration of the particle. That means in previous classes we discussed like in Newton's laws, NLM, and in friction also we discussed that suppose if the block is placed on a truck here, if the truck is accelerating in this direction with some acceleration a naught, then pseudo force acting on this block will be ma naught will be there along this direction, right? So this is our pseudo force here. So it is opposite to the acceleration of the frame of reference. So here the frame of reference acceleration is nothing but directed towards the center. And so now that acceleration will be the force acting on that block will be radially away from that. So now that force is nothing but we call the pseudo force here. So just mention this about the pseudo force. When we are observing, when the observer is in rotating frame, and in brackets mention that non-inertial frame, rotating frame is a non-inertial frame, rotating frame, force acts on the object, some pseudo force acts on the object with respect to the observer, this pseudo force is always opposite to the acceleration of the frame of reference, so that is this pseudo force is radially outwards. This pseudo force is radially outwards. The radial, this force is nothing but, this pseudo force is nothing but, we call it as centrifugal force. Therefore, now write about the pseudo centrifugal force clearly there. Centrifugal force is a pseudo force which is directed radially away. Centrifugal force is a pseudo force which is directed radially away from the center. Its magnitude depends on the mass of the object, distance of the object from axis of rotation of the object, axis of rotation of the frame, now here this one R, because with respect to him that pseudo force is nothing but we are writing it as F, frictional force. So this is centrifugal force here. So now according to that centrifugal force we can write as F, small f, that small f we can write it as mr omega square here. So that means centrifugal force is also mentioned like this, mr omega square, or which we can also write this as mv square by r. It is not always this value mv square by r, that means you can write this as mr omega square. Centrifugal force means its magnitude is given like this, that means it is not the centripetal force. They may be centripetal force and centrifugal force both are completely different. So centrifugal force is nothing but simply remember it as a pseudo force. If you are remembering it as a pseudo force, then you won't get any confusion with this centripetal force and centrifugal force. Just it is a pseudo force, and pseudo force concept which we know already. So it depends on the mass and the distance of the object from the axis of rotation of the frame, and angular velocity of frame of reference. So remember that it depends on the angular velocity of frame of reference. So if frame of reference is rotating and object is at rest, then with respect to that frame there will be some force acting on this object also. Like suppose the object is, in this case the object is on the frame I am taking there, on the rotating frame. Even if the object is outside the frame of reference here, but observer is there on the frame of reference, then with respect to that observer there will be some pseudo force acting on that. So that means once the observer is accelerating, then pseudo force will be there, that we know already. The object may accelerate or may not accelerate. Like suppose we know already in Newton's laws, previous topics we already discussed like this. Like one such a problem will be there. Like suppose this truck is accelerating here, on this truck this observer is moving with some acceleration a naught. Now if suppose on the side by some block is placed on the ground here, so then with respect to him there will be some pseudo force acting on this. So that pseudo force is opposite to the acceleration of the man here. So there will be some pseudo force acting on this observer here. MA naught pseudo force will be there acting on this block here, even though block is at rest, right? So now similarly here, even though for the centrifugal force block need not rotate, even block is outside that frame of reference, then the centrifugal force will be there. So that is, this omega is not for the particle which is revolving on which you are taking the pseudo force. Omega is the angular velocity of the frame of reference we need to consider. So that is the important thing there. So omega is the angular velocity of the frame of reference. So just mention that. So those are the quantities on which the centrifugal force depends there. So as we mentioned already, it is a pseudo force. So for pseudo force, we know that action and reaction pair is not there because it is not associated with any agent. That means we can't say that who is applying that pseudo force there. We can feel that pseudo force or the centrifugal force only when you are in the rotating frame. So if you are standing on the rotating frame, then you can feel that pseudo force there. So but it is, you can't say that who is exerting that force. That means, that is, we say generally it as pseudo forces or centrifugal force is not associated with any agent, and so that it, as it is not associated with any agent, you can't say any action and reaction pair for this, right? And so the another thing is all the forces which are acting outward direction, you can't say it as a pseudo force. Sometimes there will be problems like external force is acting towards radial outward direction. Some external force may be given in the data which is acting outward direction. So that external force you can't take it as a pseudo force, right? So pseudo force will be there mr omega square when the observer is rotating, when the observer is in rotating frame. So then only that force only we need to mr omega square only need to take it as a pseudo force. If any other force is acting in outward direction, you can't take it as a pseudo force there. So those are the points to be remembered regarding this centrifugal force. So you need to consider the centrifugal force only when you are solving the problem with respect to rotating frames. If you are solving with respect to ground like this, then no need of taking any pseudo force here, right? So we are writing it as F is equal to centripetal force we are writing, which is mr omega square. So simply you can write like that. So that is a pseudo force concept here. And in the next class, based on this, I will explain the problems based on this centripetal force and the centrifugal force. Also, we can discuss some problems based on this. So I will discuss those problems in our next class. Right? Thank you.